Lesson 10, Part 3C, Relative Pronoun. Has, he, ha, which means who or which, is a relative pronoun. It introduces subordinate or dependent clauses, but it also functions in that clause. So for example, kai has u lambane tan stauron autu, ek esti mu axias. And whoever does not take his cross is not worthy of me. Here, has is in the nominative because inside of this dependent clause, the portion in blue, has is functioning as the subject. Does take is the verb in this clause. Who does take? Well, whoever does take his cross. It's the subject of this clause. Number 2, ude gar ha pater humon hon crean echate. And this one's a little bit harder to see because in English, the translation is going to be a little bit different. For your father knows of what you have need, or your father knows what you need. That's pulled it out of a genitive feel in English, which is the best way to say it in English. But if you look at it sort of this genitive-y kind of feel, it'll help. So here in this clause, in the blue portion, inside the dependent clause, hone is functioning in a genitive sense. You need, you have what? You have need. You have what kind of need? You have need of what? Now, it's a little bit weird to try to say it like that because it is a question. What sounds like a question word then. But if we replace the what with an object, it would be very, very easy to see. You have need of money. So you have need of what? Of money. There, it's very easy to see that it's a genitive and like what questions it's answering. But since it's a relative pronoun, it means what, or it means it's a little harder when you're asking questions that you normally ask with grammar. But here in this sentence, in this dependent clause, hone is functioning as a genitive. Number 3, hutas estin ha wias mu ha agapetas en ho eudikesa. This is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. Within this dependent clause, ho is functioning datively. It's the object of the preposition en. Number 4, ha lego humin en teskotiai epate en to foti. What I say to you in darkness, speak in the light. Here, ha is in the accusative case because within the dependent clause, the portion in blue, it is functioning as a direct object. I say what? I say what to you in darkness. Now, in each sentence above, the entire clause, the entire portion in blue, is a noun clause, and the whole clause functions as a part of speech in the sentence. It does a noun job. So in the first sentence, the subordinate clause is the subject of the independent clause. So we look at the independent clause, is not worthy of me. Well, who is not worthy of me? Whoever does not take his cross is not worthy of me. The whole clause is functioning as the subject. Number 2, the subordinate clause is the direct object of the dependent clause. Your father knows what? Your father knows what you need. What you need, or of what you have need. The whole thing is functioning as the direct object of the main clause. Number 3, the subordinate clause is the appositive of the independent clause, specifically of son. So this is my beloved son. Who is your son? The son in whom I am well pleased. And in the fourth one, the subordinate clause is the direct object of the independent clause. Speak in the light. What are you supposed to speak in the light? Speak what I say to you in darkness in the light. Now, has, he, ha is declined like autas, just without the out at the beginning. It's going to look very much like the definite article, but there's an exception or two in there. So it's better to think of it as autas without the out. So here are the forms: has, hu, ho, han, he, has, he, hain, ha, hu, ho, ha, hoi, hon, hois, hus, hi, hon, heis, has, ha, hon, hois, ha. Hopefully you're looking at that and noticing some things that look a little weird. So notice the 4 forms in bold, and of course the neuter singular accusative as well, since it matches the neuter singular nominative. The only way to tell the difference between these and the definite article is by the accent. All of the forms of the definite article that don't have a tau, neuter singular nominative, feminine singular nominative, neuter plural nominative, neuter, let me try that again. The masculine singular nominative, feminine singular nominative, masculine plural nominative, feminine plural nominative. Those four that are the exceptional ones, the ones that don't have tau. Of the definite article, those never have an accent. Here, with the relative pronoun, they do. They have an accent. Though the accent can switch to a grave accent, which is the pointy accent going the other direction. It's not going to have a circumflex. They'll always have an accent, whether it's acute or grave. They will always have an accent, and that's how you're going to tell the difference between this and the definite article. Now, of course, you can see with all the other forms as well, they always have an accent, whether that's a circumflex or an acute, which can switch to a grave. Any of them, they're all going to have accent marks for the relative pronoun, and you'll notice there are no tau's going on here. Now, one of the things that's extremely important to realize, very, very easy to mess up here. The ha is the neuter singular acute nominative and neuter singular accusative. We found that for the definite article over here in the masculine singular nominative, but the masculine singular nominative has a sigma, it's has, matching autas. That's why we said it's not quite like the definite article, it's like autas, it ends with a sigma. Now, that's not going to throw you off when you see a has, but that may throw you off when you see a ha. I actually did this once when I was looking at a verse trying to figure out what the ha referred back to, if it referred back to something that was neuter in the sentence or something that was masculine in the sentence. And I was like, oh, it has to be referring back to the masculine thing because ha is masculine, but that didn't make logical sense. And I and a couple of classmates were actually sitting there for a while going, well, what does this describe? What, this just doesn't quite make sense. And then we actually looked this word up and to see if maybe there were some grammar points that we had missed about it. And we saw, oh, wait, ha is the neuter form. Okay, this is going with the neuter word in the sentence, and then it made sense. So this can be extremely important. Make sure you pay attention to that. Now, there is also an indefinite relative pronoun, hostis, hatis, and hati, which are whoever, whichever, and whatever, is declined the exact same way as tis, t, but with some differences at the beginning. There's only one time in the Bible that it doesn't show up in the nominative, and that's in the neuter singular genitive. And it also never shows up in the neuter singular nominative. So here are the forms as they show up in the Bible. We have hostis, which is masculine singular nominative, hastis, which is feminine singular nominative, hatu, which is neuter singular genitive, haughtiness, which is masculine plural nominative, heightiness, which is feminine plural nominative, and hatina, which is neuter plural nominative. It may be easiest just to memorize these. Now, if you're worried and going, oh no, hati just looks just like hati, don't worry, this one doesn't actually ever show up in scripture. That's just the form that it would be if it did show up. If you're studying, Homer's Iliad or the Odyssey or something, you might run into this, but it never actually shows up in the New Testament, so you don't really need to worry about that. Though the accent is on the iota for the conjunction, I do believe. All right, and for example, hastis poie ton ergon mu acque me, whoever is doing my work is hearing me. It adds that idea of uncertainty, that like everness that you can throw in there. So summary, learn the forms, and that's all.